Keanu Reeves, known for his private nature, visited the Houston Zoo on a calm, sunny afternoon. Hoping to escape the spotlight, he wandered the pathways, taking in the peaceful ambiance. As he admired the lush surroundings, he found himself drawn to the gorilla exhibit, captivated by the serene family group lounging in the enclosure. The zoo was relatively quiet, with only a handful of visitors sharing the moment. Unbeknownst to Keanu, one gorilla, a mother named Malika, had been watching him intently. Her baby clung to her side, a tiny bundle of life she fiercely protected. Malika had always been wary of human interaction, but something about Keanu's calm demeanor caught her attention. As their eyes met through the glass, an unspoken connection began to form, setting the stage for a moment that would touch the hearts of millions. Malika had a troubled past. Rescued from the wild after her troop was devastated by poachers, she had always been distrustful of humans. The zookeepers had worked tirelessly to help her acclimate, but her cautious nature remained. Her baby, only 6 months old, was her pride and joy, her second chance at family. As Keanu stood silently observing the gorillas, Malika moved closer to the glass. Her eyes, deep and expressive, locked onto his. Visitors murmured in awe as she seemed to assess the actor's presence. Keanu, known for his humility, instinctively crouched to her level, his expression soft and empathetic. In that moment, the zoo faded away, leaving only the silent understanding between a man and a mother seeking something she couldn't explain. As Keanu knelt before the glass, Malika surprised everyone. She extended her arm, gesturing toward him in a way that seemed almost deliberate. The baby, curious but hesitant, clung to her chest, peeking out at the man on the other side of the barrier. The crowd around the exhibit grew, whispering in amazement at the gorilla's unexpected behavior. Keanu remained still, sensing the importance of the moment. He slowly placed his hand against the glass, mirroring her gesture. Malika tilted her head, her expression unreadable but filled with a strange kind of recognition. The baby, encouraged by its mother's calm demeanor, reached out a tiny hand. The connection between the three was palpable, leaving everyone watching breathless. Malika's trust in humans had been shattered long ago. She had witnessed the destruction of her troop and barely survived the ordeal. When the zoo rescued her, she was emaciated and emotionally scarred. Over the years, she had learned to coexist with her caretakers, but her guarded nature persisted. The baby, however, brought new hope into her life. This little one represented everything she had lost and fought to rebuild. Zookeepers often marveled at her fierce love and protective instincts, but they had never seen her interact with a human the way she did with Keanu. It was as though she recognized something in him, a quiet strength and kindness that transcended the barriers of language and species. The zookeepers watched in awe as Malika's behavior continued to surprise them. She slowly stood up, cradling her baby with one arm while using the other to gesture toward Keanu. It was as if she wanted to bridge the gap between their worlds. Keanu, ever gentle, placed his hand on the glass again, this time with a smile that seemed to reassure her. The baby made a soft sound, almost like a coo, and reached out toward Keanu's reflection. Malika seemed to approve, stepping closer than she had ever allowed herself to be near any human. This moment wasn't just rare, it was unprecedented. The zoo staff, now gathered around, whispered about the scene unfolding before them. One of the keepers, who had worked closely with Malika, explained her history to the growing crowd. Her struggle to trust humans was well known, but today she was breaking every barrier. Keanu seemed unaware of the attention around him. His focus remained solely on the mother and her baby. He spoke softly, his words inaudible, but his tone calm and soothing. Malika responded by gently tapping the glass as if acknowledging his kindness. The moment was not just about them, it was about the healing power of trust. Encouraged by its mother's calmness, the baby grew braver. It clambered onto Malika's arm, its bright eyes fixed on Keanu. The little one stretched a hand toward the glass, mimicking Keanu's gesture. The crowd let out a collective gasp, moved by the innocence and trust radiating from the young gorilla. Keanu chuckled softly, his voice filled with warmth. "You're brave, little one," he murmured. Malika watched him closely, her maternal instincts fully engaged, but without a hint of fear. For the first time, it seemed she was willing to let another being, a human, into her world, if only for a moment. As the baby pressed its tiny hand against the glass, Keanu instinctively mirrored the action. The sight of his hand and the baby's separated only by a thin pane was mesmerizing. Malaika observed the interaction closely, her trust in Keanu evident in the way she allowed her baby to explore. Visitors watched in hushed silence, many of them moved to tears. This wasn't just a simple interaction between man and animal, it was a moment of connection that transcended the physical barrier. Keanu, ever patient and composed, stayed still, allowing the baby to grow more confident with each passing second. Malaika's expression, usually guarded and cautious, softened into something almost resembling gratitude. The zookeepers couldn't explain it, but Malaika seemed to sense something deeper in Keanu. Perhaps it was his calm, unthreatening presence or the gentleness in his eyes. For a mother who had endured so much pain and loss, it was as though she saw him as a kindred spirit. Keanu sat cross-legged on the ground, maintaining eye contact with Malaika. The baby, encouraged by its mother's unusual openness, began to playfully pat the glass. Keanu smiled, and for a brief moment, Malaika leaned forward, her face close to his through the glass. It was a gesture of trust so rare that even the staff were left speechless. Back at the staff headquarters, the zookeepers were buzzing with excitement. They reviewed footage from the cameras near the exhibit, documenting every second of the unprecedented encounter. One of them remarked, "This isn't just a moment for the zoo, this is a moment for humanity to see the depth of animal emotions." Keanu, unaware of the staff's discussions, remained focused on Malaika and her baby. His natural humility and quiet demeanor made him the perfect person for such an extraordinary interaction. The bond forming between him and the gorilla family was unlike anything anyone had witnessed before. The baby gorilla, emboldened by its mother's calmness and Keanu's gentle presence, suddenly attempted its first unsteady step. Malaika, ever the attentive mother, supported her baby with one arm while keeping a watchful eye on Keanu. The crowd erupted in soft gasps and murmurs witnessing this milestone. Keanu chuckled, his warm laughter resonating with those around him. "You're a little explorer," he said softly, addressing the baby. The moment felt almost magical, one of life's small miracles unfolding in real time, with Malaika allowing a human to share in the joy of her baby's achievement. As the baby regained its balance, it turned to its mother and then looked back at Keanu. In a surprising and heartwarming gesture, the baby placed its hand on the glass once more, as if offering its trust. Malaika seemed to approve, gently nudging her baby closer to the edge of the enclosure. Keanu placed his hand against the glass again, smiling warmly. "You're a brave one," he said. The baby let out a playful chirp, a sound that zookeepers recognized as one of contentment. For the onlookers, the interaction felt like a rare glimpse into the soul of these incredible creatures. Word of the encounter began to spread throughout the zoo. More visitors gathered around the gorilla exhibit, curious to witness the interaction. Despite the growing crowd, Keanu and Malaika seemed oblivious to the attention. Their connection remained unbroken, and the baby continued to interact with him as if they were old friends. One zookeeper whispered, "It's as if Malaika chose him for a reason. She's never acted like this with anyone before." Keanu, ever humble, simply smiled at the baby's playful antics, showing no sign of discomfort despite the increasing audience. The zookeepers began to realize that this encounter was more than just a heartwarming moment. It was a symbol of hope, proof that even the most broken spirits could find a way to trust again. Malaika, once a symbol of resilience after tragedy, was now a testament to the power of connection. Keanu, unaware of the profound impact his presence had, remained focused on Malaika and her baby. His ability to convey kindness and calm without speaking a word resonated deeply with everyone watching. For many, the moment was a reminder of the empathy that bridges the gap between species. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting golden hues across the zoo, Keanu sat back slightly, giving Malaika space. She watched him closely, her baby now curled up in her arms. The tenderness in her gaze was unmistakable. Keanu leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "You're an incredible mom," he said softly, almost as if speaking to a friend. Malaika responded with a low, gentle sound, one that zookeepers interpreted as contentment. It was a quiet moment, but one filled with an unspoken understanding between two very different beings. As the interaction continued, the baby grew increasingly curious. It began to mimic Keanu's movements, tapping the glass and tilting its head in playful imitation. The crowd chuckled softly, charmed by the baby's innocence. Malaika, meanwhile, remained calm and vigilant, her trust in Keanu unwavering. Keanu mirrored the baby's gestures, tapping back on the glass and smiling warmly. "You've got quite the personality," he said quietly, his voice soothing. The baby let out another soft chirp and clung to its mother's arm, clearly delighted by the attention. The exchange was light-hearted yet deeply meaningful, a rare moment of joy shared across the barrier. Malika shifted slightly, repositioning her baby in her arms while keeping her gaze fixed on Keanu. It was as though she was offering silent approval of the interaction, a rare sign of trust from a creature so cautious of humans. The baby reached out again, pressing its tiny hand against the glass where Keanu's rested. One of the zookeepers whispered to a colleague, "This is beyond anything we've seen with her. She's never shown this kind of openness before." The crowd watched in awe as Malika gently stroked her baby's back, a gesture that seemed to convey her acceptance of the moment. It was a powerful reminder of the deep emotional lives of animals. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the exhibit, Keanu knew it was time to leave. He slowly stood, his movements calm and deliberate so as not to startle the mother and her baby. Turning to Malika, he gave her a small nod, as though acknowledging the trust she had placed in him. "Thank you," he said softly. His words meant as much for her as for the experience. Malika watched him closely, her baby nestled against her chest. As Keanu walked away, the baby reached out one last time, its tiny hand tapping the glass as if to say goodbye. The crowd, moved beyond words, applauded quietly as the actor left the exhibit. News of the encounter quickly spread beyond the zoo. Visitors shared videos and photos online, and the story went viral overnight. Headlines described the rare bond between a Hollywood star and a cautious mother gorilla. Animal behavior experts weighed in, calling the moment a testament to the emotional depth of gorillas and the unique ability of humans to connect across species. Keanu, true to his nature, downplayed the event when asked about it in interviews. "It wasn't about me," he said. "It was about her, a mother who's been through so much and still found it in her heart to trust." His humility only deepened the public's admiration for him, turning the story into a symbol of kindness and empathy. The encounter left a lasting impact on everyone involved, from the zookeepers to the visitors who witnessed it firsthand. Malika's behavior changed subtly in the weeks that followed. She seemed more at ease, her interactions with zookeepers slightly more open. The baby, now affectionately nicknamed Keanu by the staff, continued to thrive under her care. For the Houston Zoo, the moment became a symbol of their mission to foster understanding and compassion between humans and animals. They created an exhibit dedicated to Malika's story, using it to educate visitors about gorilla conservation and the emotional depth of these incredible creatures. As for Keanu Reeves, he became an unexpected advocate for wildlife, his quiet act of empathy reminding the world that sometimes the simplest gestures can leave the deepest impact.